Next, we have a story that's so ridiculous that it honestly sounds like a hoax, but it's not. The U.S. Attorney for the Southern District of Illinois said he's received intel showing that ISIS is working with the criminals in Ferguson who rioted, looted, and set fires. They say, quote, ISIS has been recruiting Americans in Ferguson. Yeah, I'm sure they have. He said, quote, he's received intelligence of ISIS trying to recruit Ferguson criminals, mostly on social media. So the last part is the important part. You know what his so-called evidence is? Tweets. He saw that there were tweets sent from an ISIS account which approved of any and all violence that happened in Ferguson. So what do these scumbags not tell you? What they're not telling you is that ISIS, of course, would approve of violence if it came from anywhere in America, if it came from the Tea Party, if it came from the KKK, if it came from the sovereign citizens or the patriot militias or anybody, because they want unrest in America. They don't care if it's from the left, if it's from the right, if it's from the center. They want it from anywhere and everywhere. They're ISIS. They obviously want that to happen. But these guys are misconstruing it and lying about it and saying, no, ISIS is working hand in hand with people who want social justice in Ferguson. 90% of the protesters in Ferguson and elsewhere are calling for peace and justice. And they're trying to tell us that these people are working with ISIS and they want the opposite of peace and justice. You know what this reminds me of? This reminds me of the story we did yesterday with that CNN guest, the forensic psychiatrist, who said, no, Ishmael Brinsley, who murdered 2 police officers, he represents all the peaceful people. He represents the peace movement and the protesters. So wait, let me get this straight. You're telling me the people who are peacefully, keyword, peacefully protesting for peace and justice and for reforms with how our police officers function, they're asking for body cameras, they're asking for a change to the drug laws, they're asking for special prosecutors. You're telling me that these people who have been rational every step of the way are linked to a cold-blooded psychopathic murderer who tried to kill himself at one point and was arrested 19 times and shot his girlfriend the same day. See what they're doing here? It's the oldest tactic in the book. If you link your enemy to people who we all agree are unsavory people, we all agree are bad people, then you've delegitimized their bigger cause. Because again, the cause of the people peacefully protesting in Ferguson, peacefully protesting in New York, and peacefully protesting elsewhere, you can't argue against it because they're common sense reforms that would simply make the system better. So how do you tar and feather the group? You say, ISIS reached out to them on Twitter, that means they're working together with ISIS. Yes, that's right. I believe I saw multiple Taliban members, Al-Qaeda members, ISIS members, long fundamentalist beards, and people praising Osama bin Laden in the protests, in the peaceful protests. And then they also have this bullshit thing where they show a sign. There's somebody holding a sign in a protest, an unnamed protest, by the way. They don't give specifics on that because maybe if they gave specifics, it wouldn't back up their argument. And it says, ISIS is here. That's it. That's all it says. Well, that could be somebody trying to smear the group. Somebody gets in the group, holds up that sign, and then again, you can use that to tar and feather the group. And we've seen this before. If you told me about this a year ago, that people do this, that they infiltrate the movement and they create chaos, I wouldn't have believed you. Today, I believe you. Why? Because I've seen the evidence. There was a story a week or so ago, or 2 weeks ago, about somebody in Oakland who was supposedly part of the peaceful protest movement. Come to find out, he pulled a gun on somebody after he got into a little tussle with them and fist fight with them, and he was an undercover police officer. So these are agitators in the movement that do bad actions and do violence, and then what happens is you change the media narrative and you change the public perception of the movement where people go, oh, well, I'm not with those protesters. They're a little crazy. Again, the oldest trick in the book. These guys are to tell us that the liberals, the progressives, the civil libertarians, the anti-racists protesting in Ferguson, they're linked to people who believe in beheading, to people who believe in sex slavery, and to people who believe in literal jihad. The most ridiculous claim even at face value.